The New York Jets are scheduled to interview their first head coach candidate, and it's Ron Rivera. A familiar face, Rex Ryan expects to earn an interview at the end of the offseason, and Mike Vrabel is available to be interviewed today. And Tyrod Taylor, his performance yesterday, how does that affect what we already know about the quarterback, and could he be the Jets' bridge option in 2025? We'll break all of that down and much more, all coming up here on NY Flight Jets Talk.
Jets, Jets, let's go.
Jets wide receiver Wesley Walker. Wesley, how you doing today? ESPN writer Mr. Rich Cimini, Jets reporter for The Athletic, Mr. Zach Rosenblatt, Hall of Famer, and Jets legend, Mr. Marty Lyons.
Your host, Connor Law.
Hello everyone, and welcome into another edition of NY Flight Jets Talk here on this Monday afternoon, December 30th, 2024. And wow, I know we recapped it on the postgame show. Appreciate of all of you who supported and came in and stopped by the postgame show last night, despite what was a disgusting, pitiful, whatever you want to call it, performance from our New York Jets up in Orchard Park, New York, against the division rival Buffalo Bills. Jets fall by a score of 40-14, 4-12 on the season. They have one more game left this year, and it's at home. Week 18, 4:25 p.m. against the Miami Dolphins. Jets have a chance to officially knock the Dolphins out of playoff contention. And yes, 40-14, the guy who threw those two touchdowns was none other than Jets backup quarterback Tyrod Taylor after Rodgers, was pulled in garbage time. I guess where I'm going to really start today's stream is with the news that broke out earlier today from Tom Pelissero of NFL Network. Jets are scheduled to meet with Ron Rivera, who will be interviewing for the team's head coaching job. First, what I'm going to say here is I don't dislike Rivera. I know there's a lot of people that have been like, no, 1000% we can't go near him, even if it's in a DC role. We hate Rivera. I don't hate Rivera. Is he my preference to be the team's next head coach? Definitely not. Would I absolutely hate it? Not really. Quite honestly, I had him in my ideal regime / coaching staff, serving as the team's defensive coordinator. I would absolutely love him to be this team's defensive coordinator. I also tabbed him as an underrated head coach candidate. So I think, my mentality is I don't want him, but I don't think I would be as aggravated if the Jets got him compared to most people who are, do everything you can to get Rivera, away from Florham Park. That's where I stand. Here's his resume. He's 62 years old. He has 13 years of head coaching experience. He's compiled a 100, 103 record, .498 winning percentage. I mean, he's won Coach of the Year twice, and he's brought his team to the Super Bowl. I mean, those are really the main things there. He started his career in 2011 with the Panthers. This is the thing I like most. He inherited a 2-14 team before leading them to the playoffs 4 of the next 5 years, including 15-1 season and Super Bowl berth in 2015. So he's been able to, really turn things around quickly, which is something in an intangible that I like with Rivera. He was fired a week before Week 18 of the 2019 season, and then he was hired by the Commanders in 2020. He spent 4 seasons there. He collected a 26-40 record. Ultimately, he was fired after last season with a 4-13 record. I know a lot of people are going to be like, well, Commanders kind of similar situation to the Jets. I think the Jets have more talent than the Commanders. And although he didn't have a winning season in Washington, he didn't bring them to the playoffs his first season there. So I wouldn't absolutely hate it. Would I love it? No. Would I, absolutely hate it? Not really. So that's where I stand right now with Ron Rivera. The other candidate is Rex Ryan. He spoke to our guy Jake Asman on ESPN Radio. Jake obviously filling in for DiPietro and Rothenberg. And Rex said he expects to earn an interview with the Jets this offseason. I think you know my stance on Rex. I said it a few weeks ago. I don't want him. I mean, he hasn't coached in the league since 2016, and that was with Buffalo. We all know what happened in Buffalo. Even his last year with the Jets, the kind of the back end after those 2 AFC championships, which is arguably, that roster was arguably built by Eric Mangini. Rex has really has had not much success in the league as a head coach, and he hasn't coached an NFL team since 2016. So that's a little scary for me. That's where I stand with Rex. I would not want Rex. I put Rivera over Rex on my power rankings. I'd say I put Rivera about 8 on my power rankings and Rex about 10 or 11. So that's where I stand with Rex and Rivera. And the other head coaching news that came just about an hour or two ago was saying that, Mike Vrabel's consulting contract with the Browns officially expired today. So he's available to speak with teams. If you're the Jets, I think you got to get an interview with Mike Vrabel as quick as possible. Get him in the building. Don't let him leave the building. Find the GM he wants and do everything you can to get that general manager. Thomas Dimitroff, Ryan Crowden is a name from the Giants organization. I'm hearing that Vrabel would love to be his next GM. So find out who Vrabel wants as GM and let's get this thing moving. If they could, hire Vrabel as soon as possible. I think he said he's open to taking the job if he approves of the GM hire. Get him to approve of the GM hire and get him in here as soon as possible. That is the bottom line. Point blank period. There is no excuse. There's no excuse. Everyone smash that like button. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Appreciate all your support. Let's say what's up to everyone in the chat. Our guy Sebastian coming in, Rex would be so cool. Yeah, he's a nostalgic figure, but I don't want him to get the job. I really don't. Guy Billy tuning in. Tyrod looked good. His passes were crisp on target. Plus, he can run. I could see the Jets starting him in 2025 and letting Rodgers go. I'm a huge fan of that option, Billy. I have some tape from Tyrod yesterday that we're going to break down in a little, so stay tuned for that. Huge fan of what Tyrod showed yesterday and obviously what he's shown over the past few years throughout his career. Billy Vrabel goes to the Bears. I don't know about the Bears. The one job I could see him taking over the Jets is the Patriots job. Obviously, he is if they decide to fire Gerard Mayo, he has a history, obviously, with the Patriots organization. They have the quarterback in Drake May. They have over $100 million in cap space, and they're going to have the number 1 overall pick, most likely. So if that's the only job I could really see him taking over the Jets. Sebastian, I think Ben Johnson going to the Bears. Vrabel is a good candidate for any team. For the Bears job, I think it's either going to be Ben Johnson or Cliff Kingsbury. Kingsbury has NFL head coaching experience, and then he worked with Caleb Williams in college. So I think you could put either Kingsbury or Johnson. I think are two front runners for the Bears job. That's what I'd say there. Guy Dano Jets tuning in. Connor, I need you to put that helmet on one of these days. LOL. Yeah, I'll throw that on one day. Who knows? The Jets might need me. Week 18, they bench some of their starters. I can come out and play. Appreciate you tuning in, Dane. Yeah, so I mentioned I have some film on Tyrod Taylor. Pretty much broke down the head coach search there. If you guys have any questions, comments, throw them in the chat. We'll be sure to get to them. You want to call into the show, voice your opinion on the big screen. Do so by clicking the pinned comment in the chat. Now, here we go. I'm going to throw up some Tyrod film. Let me see. Stand by. All right, before we do that, though, comment here from Billy again. For a head coach like Vrabel is going to have a number of teams to choose from. The Jets are not a prime location for him. Who else would you put above the Jets? Other than the Patriots if you're Mike Vrabel? Not a lot of these openings are very appealing. If the Raiders lose week 18 and then they're in the quarterback sweepstakes, maybe the Raiders. But other than that, the Jets have young talent. They're going to be able to potentially draft a quarterback in the draft if that's what Vrabel wants to do. The one headache is potentially Aaron Rodgers, but I don't think Rodgers is back next season under any circumstance. That's where I stand. What other opening do you see Vrabel, leaning towards? I don't think there are very, many good openings, unless potentially somehow Miami loses to the Jets and McDaniels somehow shakes loose. Maybe the Miami job. Maybe. That's it, though. Sebastian, do you think the Jets move on from Aaron Rodgers and draft a QB, maybe start Tyrod, sit a rookie, kind of like Patriots did with Brissett and May? So, Sebastian, we're going to get into Tyrod's film, obviously. I'm a huge fan of Tyrod. What I want them to do is, I like Jalen Milroe. There's a strong chance he goes back to school, but if he comes out of the draft and he falls to you at the top of the second round, I think the Jets have to take him. I want to move on from Rodgers. I've said that for weeks. You need to get Rodgers out of here. Just call it a bad move. Eat all $49 million next season and simply move on. I think that's what the Jets really have to do with the Aaron Rodgers situation. In regards to, like I said, I don't know, so early in the draft evaluation process. You have the Senior Bowl, you have the Combine, you have pro days, you have everything. So it's still early. I want to start Tyrod and then bring in a veteran, because we know Tyrod, he's had injury struggles throughout his whole career. We all know that. Bring in a veteran like a Jacoby Brissett, bring in a veteran like an Andy Dalton, and then have them battle it out Or even Justin Fields is another one. Justin Fields right now is a top option for me to be the Jets starting quarterback next season if you can get him on a 1-year deal. If he starts asking for multiple years, I think you have to just go with Tyrod. I think ultimately Tyrod battles it out with someone because Tyrod's going to be on the roster next year no matter what. He's under contract and his money's guaranteed. That's where I stand. Billy, Jets cut Rodgers and will have to absorb a cap hit for 2025. That's going to hurt the Jets, and that would impact what candidates are going to want the head coaching job. Yeah, but my question is, what other jobs other than the Patriots for Vrabel? We're talking about Vrabel here specifically for Vrabel. Other than the Patriots and, the slim chance that maybe the Miami job shakes loose, what other job openings are more appealing for him? There's a strong chance the Raiders don't finish in the quarterback sweepstakes. There's a strong chance that doesn't happen. So what other job openings are more appealing for a guy like Mike Vrabel? Jets have young talent here. They do. That's where I think, what other job is more appealing is my main question to you, Billy. That's where I stand. Anyways, here we go. We're going to pull up some Tyrod Taylor film from yesterday's game. I picked out a few plays. Before we do that, though, I just want to read you some of these metrics. Last year, kind of compare what Rodgers has done this year to Tyrod last season. So Tyrod last season played 11 games with the Giants. He was pretty much a 500 quarterback last season when he had to come in and play for the Giants. Like I said, 11 games, and I'm going to compare it to Rodgers this season. All 16 games he's played, he's only come out in garbage time. He hasn't missed any games due to injury, a single snap, actually, even due to injury. So Rodgers has been fully healthy this year. And then this is Tyrod last year with the Giants. And these are the metrics from an accuracy standpoint and just overall and how they rank. Rodgers this season, 32nd in completion percentage, 33rd in average depth of target, 7th big-time throw rate, 24th most turnover-worthy plays, 6th most interceptions, 31st in yards per attempt. I'm going to address the adjusted completion percentage. Because I know the excuse is, well, the Jets have dropped the most passes out of any team. Adjusted completion percentage basically removes those drops. Count those drops as, caught passes. It basically takes it away from the actual completion percentage. So you take those drops away, he's still 26th in completion percentage. That's where it is. And 31st in yards per attempt. Basically, he's 7th in the big-time throw rate. Other than that, he's a bottom 25. He's bottom 20, bottom 24 quarterback in every other metric. Every other metric. As for Tyrod, so those were Rodgers' rankings this season. This was Tyrod with the Giants last year. 24th in completion percentage, higher than Rodgers' 32nd. 14th in adjusted completion percentage, higher than Rodgers' 26th rating. Most big-time throws. The first, obviously, compared to Rodgers, 7th. Least turnover-worthy plays. 2nd least interceptions, and this is my favorite one. Because I know Tyrod now has this reputation of being the word I heard now, I think, is check-down merchant was the word that was used. He ranked 9th in yards per attempt last season, compared to Rodgers, who ranks 31st in yards per attempt this season. There it is. He is a better option next season. Again, he's going to be 36 years old, but the tape that I'm about to show you, he still showed he's athletic. That doesn't matter who you're playing against. Doesn't matter if you're playing against the Bills' third stringers in prevent defense, or you're playing against the Lions defense, one of the best units in the league, or the Vikings defense, one of the best units in the league. You can still showcase elusiveness and athleticism. And that's some of the main things I saw in the film from Tyrod Taylor. Who would you rather take, a 36-year-old Tyrod Taylor next season, who's still what he showed, has that athleticism, doesn't throw many interceptions, plays smart football, and is entertaining, or a 42-year-old Aaron Rodgers who, one more injury and his career could be over in a second? Who would you rather have? And with Tyrod, by the way, you either draft a guy to sit behind him or you bring in another veteran and they battle it out. I think the Tyrod scenario is 1,000 times better. 1,000 times better, and you guys are about to see it in the tape from yesterday's game. Everyone smash that like button. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Appreciate all your support. I see your comments. We're going to get to them shortly, but let's pull up the tape. So here is I'll throw it full screen, then we'll really break it down. Let me know if you could see it. All right, boom. There it is. We'll throw this full screen. So here is Tyrod. We're obviously in garbage time, just across midfield, and here's a bootleg. make sure I can actually see the play. Sorry, stand by. All right, so we'll run the play and then I will break it down. Let me get over here. All right. Boom. So Tyrod, he's gonna, play action bootleg, boom, baits the handoff. All the defensive linemen basically bait that way, except 94 right over here. Now Tyrod's gonna end up rolling to his left. Boom. Rolls out, and then he's basically one-on-one here with this defensive lineman, number 94, and he puts a really nice hesitation move on him that makes him shake free, and he outturns to the edge and boom, fires a completion right to Devontae Adams along the sideline, which was a really nice throw to a tight window. So look, boom, look at that. Very close to each other, hesitation, and then beats him with his speed, gets us to the outside, and completion right to Devontae Adams. I don't care if you're playing against, like I said, the best defense in the league or the third stringers on the Buffalo Bills defensive side of things. That is an athletic play that Rodgers would have been blown up for in 5 seconds, 2 seconds. He would have been sacked in the backfield. Let's play one more time. Here we go. Tyrod under center, takes the snap. Braylon comes to this side for a play action. Everyone baits over there except 44, the linebacker, and 94. Tyrod rolls to his left. Boom. Hesitation. Beats him with his speed. He actually probably could have taken off and gotten a few yards, but I think it was the right decision to boom. He had Devontae open right on the sideline and fires it. Actually, it wasn't even open. It was a tight window that he fit the ball through. So a great play. Great play over there by Tyrod Taylor. That's the first play I wanted to show you. I have 6 overall plays from Tyrod I wanted to show you. That's my first one, and I think that was one of his best from yesterday's game. I thought it was a great overall rep, and that was I think that was his 3rd or 4th snap. So a great play overall from Taylor. Pull the next play up. Let's see. Let me get it on the screen. Boom. All right. So again, across midfield. This was just 2 or 3 plays after the bootleg. Let's run it and then we'll break it down. All right, so we'll go back and rewatch that again. What I really want to focus in here is he feels pressure from his right, but he keeps his eyes downfield compared to just focusing on the rushers right at him and panicking and just trying to throw the ball away as quick as possible. And then he later realizes, okay, I have Garrett Wilson open on this curl route. Let me just get it right to him. Great overall play. Break it down in real time here. Tyrod under center. Davis in the backfield. Takes the snap. And then look, there's pressure right there. It should have been a hold on Carter Warren. And then Simpson's not with anyone. He's kind of helping out Titman over there. He feels the pressure, though, and then he just steps up right into it and fires the curl. The main thing here that I really like what I saw from Tyrod on this rep is he didn't panic, I guess, is the real bottom line. He didn't panic. He didn't, just, all right, let me just get this out of the way, fire it away as quick as possible. He took his time, he slowed things down, and then he ended up making the right read. Great overall, great play from Tyrod there, connecting on a curl route with Garrett Wilson. That's play number 2. Let's see, we have 4 more to go from yesterday's game of Tyrod Taylor's overall film. Let's see. Stand by. Sorry, I'm having some technical difficulties over here trying to pull it up. Stand by. Third play should be coming up on the screen right now. All right, we're in the red zone here. And first off, kind of give the background here. This was a really high snap from Titman. It wasn't the one that he had to go back and recover, but Taylor makes a really nice snatch, and then he goes right to his left here. Watch it, and then we'll break it down. All right, so let's go back and rewatch that. As you see, Braylon lined up in the backfield, stacking the box. Really high snap. Tyrod's able to go up and catch it, but what I really want to focus on here is obviously they're stacking the box, so they're blitzing. Offensive line, poor communication. Braylon doesn't know who to go after. 24 is just loose. So instead of taking the sack, Tyrod notices the rusher there, unaccounted for, and he just adjusts and boom, fires it away out of the back of the end zone as quick as possible to avoid the sack. Great overall throwaway there from Tyrod Taylor instead of taking the sack and losing 10 yards. Just a free blitzer going right through the B gap that was, and then he chucks it out of bounds right away to negate the sack. A great overall rep there by Taylor. It's just the smart football plays that I'm starting to see every single time that I watch a guy from Taylor throwing the ball away, getting it out as quick as possible. This is why he doesn't have a high turnover rate. Doesn't fumble a lot on those plays. He's always aware when there's pressure, and that's good, something nice you want to have in a veteran bridge quarterback for sure. Play number 4 coming up here on your screen. Let's pull it up. Here we go. This one here is actually another throwaway. So these next few plays really focus on snaps and throwaways and how he adapts. So here we'll play it and then break it down. All right, so here on this play, you can see he's Garrett Wilson lined up in the backfield along with Braylon Allen. So when you look at this play, there's another unblocked defender coming right off the edge. He does a great job of spinning out of the pocket and breaking through tackles. So here, look. Watch the offensive line just in unaccounted for. Well, Braylon motions first. Snap, stacked box again. And then right off the edge, no communication whatsoever between Simpson and Mitchell. Look at this, just one more time. Look at how bad Max Mitchell was yesterday. That's just one play. Him and Simpson go for the same guy. Same exact guy. And then 94 just comes right off the edge. Look at that spin move from Taylor because 94 is trying to come after him. And 94 is the same defender I showed you guys on his bootleg that Taylor beat. Taylor puts a nice spin move. 94 pulls his jersey, and then he just breaks it and cuts loose. 56 is chasing him down. 90's trying to cut that play off so he can't take off, which was a great defensive read by them. If he really wanted to, Taylor could have probably taken off and maybe gotten a yard or two, but 56 is diving, tried to get him down from below. And ultimately, Tyrod gets tripped up and just throws it away. So great situational awareness, not trying to be Superman, Well, he was running around in the back, but behind the line of scrimmage, but he ultimately made the right decision to just, hey, let me throw it away while I'm ahead of these rushers, and let me break through this guy grabbing my jersey. So a great rep by Taylor to just get the ball out of his hands quickly and not eat a sack. Once he had the opportunity to get it out, boom, that's exactly what he did. So got the ball out quickly and avoided the sack. Great move. Again, if that's Rodgers, he's sacked in the backfield 10 yards behind the line of scrimmage, and it's a 10-yard loss. I'm sorry, but that's just what's happening. 35-year-old Tyrod Taylor is more mobile than 41-year-old Aaron Rodgers coming off an Achilles injury. It's just the truth. That's what it is. It is. See, we have about two more plays left from Tyrod, and then we'll get back to the head coach discussion. Here we go. Let's pull this play up. All right, we'll watch it and then break it down. All right, there we go. So as you pretty much saw there on the start of that play, Tippmann with yet, I guess, another high snap that Tyrod just recovers from, and he ultimately throws a touchdown pass. So, he looks to Garrett Wilson on the right, which was a great read, and then he comes down. He just, Garrett makes a great catch in the back of the end zone for sure. But look at Tyrod to just recover from this poor snap and not get all flustered by it. Davis in the backfield. Very, very high snap. Tittman had several poor snaps, but this was one of his worst, with the exception of the last one that literally just flew right over his head and Tyrod had to go back and recover it. He stays calm, makes his reads. There's no pressure. Offensive line did a great job holding up, and then a great play and catch by Garrett in the end zone. But Tyrod's ability to just adapt in the pocket, no matter what the situation is truly something special. Truly something special. He's not going to go out and make stupid mistakes. He's going to stay calm, cool, and collective, and that's what he did. And look, it ends in a touchdown pass. Great play from the 35-year-old quarterback, Tyrod Taylor. One more play left to show you guys before we get back to your comments, questions, everything in the chat. Call into the show, pin comment to do so. Smash the like button. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Appreciate all of your support here on this Monday afternoon. All right. Here's our last play. And it was actually one of Tyrod's first snaps in the game, quite frankly. It's when he takes off. Although my main point before I show this play, what I really want to show you guys here is his ability, although he's 35 years old, I've mentioned his age a lot, to get out of the pocket. He's still athletic. I think that's what I want to show. Some will knock him for his injuries. Some will knock him because of his age. Some will knock him because, they don't think he's athletic anymore. Here's all I have to show you guys. While he's certainly not a Lamar Jackson, a Jaden Daniels, a Josh Allen type from an athleticism standpoint, look at this play. Beautiful. Boom. Great vision here, first off. He sees the pressure's starting to come in a bit. Again, another hold. It's not a hold, but close to a hold on Max Mitchell there. None of his receivers are open. Braylon's trying to, run a route now, delayed. Max Mitchell, tries to get 56 away from Taylor, which is something nice. And then boom, Taylor just takes off. I think he ultimately got 6 yards here. I'm not very fond of a 35-year-old not taking a dive. I will say that at the end of the play. I think he should have just slid down before, this guy delivers a big hit. Obviously, Tyrod, it's his former team. He has a concussion history. So that's something to keep in mind. But a very athletic play. So what I have to say to those who don't want Tyrod Taylor, his accuracy metrics are significantly better than Aaron Rodgers. He's more mobile than Aaron Rodgers. And he, has less turnovers than Aaron Rodgers. That's what I really have to say. And he costs a lot less. I think that's the main point, too. He's under contract next season. Last offseason signed a 2-year, $18 million deal compared to Aaron Rodgers, who if the best scenario to just get out of it now, you owe him $49 million if you move on from him, after the end of the season. Compared, you keep him next year, then you move on. You'll owe him $63 million in cap room. So I appreciate you all tuning in. I see your questions in the chat. I'm going to get to those right now. Keep them flowing in. Before I get to you guys in the chat, let's see. One of our listeners here, I'll pull it up because one of our listeners, the great Spencer Harris, just tweeted at me, and I think he wanted me to answer this question for him here on this show. So let me get myself on the screen. How do we do that? All right. Here's the tweet. I don't know if you guys could see it. It's at Connor _long15. Can you break down why you and almost everyone believes Vrabel to be the right head coach pick? Arguably, the Browns, where he is now, are worse than us. So first, I'm going to address that last section where you say arguably the Browns are arguably worse than us. Vrabel basically has no say with the Browns right now. He's not a defensive assistant. He's not a defensive coordinator. He's not their head coach. He was a personnel and coaching consultant. So yes, he's not responsible for anything that is going on in Cleveland right now. We'll get that through. That's the bottom line. In this case, contract with the Browns expired today anyway, so he's not even a part of the organization. But the bottom line is he deserves no blame for what Cleveland is going through right now. Why I think he's the right head coach candidate. He has a ton of experience. He's coach of the year. He's brought teams to the playoffs when they don't have quarterbacks. I mean, he made Ryan Tannehill look like an MVP. We all know what type of quarterback Ryan Tannehill is. He's not an MVP caliber quarterback. And Vrabel practically made him look like that. He's brought a team to the AFC Championship game. He's inherited poor rosters, taking them to glory. And most important, he's a tough head coach. He doesn't accept losing. He doesn't accept costly mistakes. He's going to whip these guys into shape. That's what he's going to do. He's going to come in and say, my way or the highway. That is who Mike Vrabel is. Comes from the Belichick coaching tree. That is why Mike Vrabel, he's going to be hard on these players. He's not going to be their best friend, unfortunately, like we've seen with Jeff Holbrook and Robert Saleh, Adam Gase, all these guys. Head coach experience. He's going to come in. He's not going to be these guys' best friends, and he's going to turn this team into winners. He's going to defend his players too, although he's not their best friends. He's going to defend them. If someone asked, I think the best comparison is if someone asked, he's the head coach of the Jets and goes, are you guys a soft team? Robert Saleh, Jeff Holbrook, they'd be like, that's a fair question. Vrabel would freaking yell at that reporter. That's what Mike Vrabel would do. That's who Mike Vrabel is as a head coach. And also, you think Garrett Wilson under Mike Vrabel, under Brian Flores, all of these seasoned candidates is having an outburst on the sidelines? You think the head coach is doing that? The head coach is laughing and saying, sit down, you'll be traded. That's what a head coach is doing. A new head coach like a Mike Vrabel or Brian Flores does not accept that. And Aaron Rodgers, well, first off, Vrabel's going to have control of the locker room. That's something we haven't seen in a very, very, very long time. Very long time. Probably my whole life of watching the Jets, really. Probably since the Rex Ryan days, a head coach hasn't had control over this locker room. You think Aaron Rodgers is, if he's even here next year, or let's say Vrabel's the head coach of this team. Rodgers has missed at least 2 or 3 games if Vrabel's the head coach of this team. No, coach, I want to play. I'm fine. No, you have a messed up knee. Tyrod Taylor is our best option right now with your knee to put us out there and win. Guess what? I don't care. You're sitting down. I don't care if you want to play. I really don't. That's what a Mike Vrabel. That's what a Brian Flores. That is what an Aaron Glenn, who has a fiery personality, is going to say. But that's why I think Vrabel is the Jets' best option at head coach Spencer. Appreciate the question. If you're not watching the show, I'll send you I'll DM you the timestamp and where I answered it. So I'm happy you get your answer. Appreciate the support. Appreciate the question. Let's go back to you guys in the chat. Keep the comments flowing. I'll be sure to hit every single one of them. You want to call into the show, do so by clicking the pinned comment in the chat. Smash the like button. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Where did we leave off? Oh, here we were. Sebastian, I will say I think the Bears are appealing because they have Caleb Williams and a young roster, but I think the Bears are looking for someone more offensive-minded, so I don't see Vrabel there. Yeah, I said my 2 front runners for the Bears job earlier. I think it's Ben Johnson and Cliff Kingsbury. Ben Johnson is a young, up-and-coming, innovative offensive mind, and Cliff Kingsbury has experience working with Caleb Williams in college. So I think those are the 2 front runners for that job. I don't see Vrabel taking that. Let's see. Sebastian, Tyrod Taylor, mad underrated. Even with the terrible Giants rosters, he squeaked out a couple wins and has really never been a terrible QB, like Tim Boyle per se. Yeah, I mean, Tyrod's situation last year was terrible, and he still played 500 football with the Giants last year. His offensive line pass protection was ranked the 32nd best, dead last in the league, according to PFF, and his receiving core was among the league's worst. And guess what? He still put up numbers. He was still able to play 500 football. He didn't complain. That's what Tyrod Taylor does. And one more thing I forgot to mention it. Thank you for, mentioning Taylor here and how he's always been able to play average football. Tyrod Taylor doesn't go on the Pat McAfee show and call out his teammates, his wide receivers for running the wrong route. Tyrod Taylor doesn't go on the Pat McAfee show and tell players to stop listening to the media, yet he does a weekly spot on one of the largest, sports podcasts, sports shows in the country. Tyrod Taylor doesn't have the most polarizing personality in all of sports. Tyrod Taylor is someone who's going to shut up. He's loved by all of his teammates. Aaron Rodgers, there's some of his, some piece of people around the league who absolutely love him, and there's some of that who absolutely hate him. I don't think there's been one person in the league who goes, Tyrod Taylor's a complete jerk. There are plenty of those for Aaron Rodgers. Tyrod Taylor's going to draw a lot less, attention to this organization. He's not going to be a diva. He's not going to demand everything. And guess what? If he does, Mike Vrabel's going to tell him, no, screw you. We don't care. You'll be flipped for a 5th-round pick in 2 weeks. That's why we need this new regime that's going to come in that contains a Mike Vrabel, a Thomas Dimitroff, someone like that. A cultural overhaul, I think, is the word, and that's what this team needs. That's what they need. Billy, I think when Rodgers was benched, that ended his Jets career. I hope it does, Billy. I really don't care what happens. I don't care if he gets 500 touchdowns. I hate to break it to you. I really don't care about his personal accolades. I said on my post game yesterday, I don't think it's going to happen. Olbrich said yesterday they're starting Rodgers, but If I'm Obrecht, my last game as a head coach, as an NFL head coach in my life, he's not getting another head coaching opportunity after what he's put on display here with the Jets. No, 1,000% never landing an NFL head coaching job again, whether it's next year or 10 years down the road. Never getting an NFL head coaching job again. You look what Tyrod Taylor's done. I bet you he works hard in practice. He's a great guy. You say, what do I owe to Aaron Rodgers? What do I? If a coach who had control over the locker room, I wouldn't mind it if Ulbrich, what is he, 2-8, something like that, as the head coach of this team. I wouldn't mind it if he had control over the locker room and he was tough on these players. He's defending Michael Clements. He's defending Hassan Reddick, the guy who held out for half of the season. He's defending Hassan Reddick, saying he's one of the most selfless players he's ever coached. I mean, come on, I got to take a hard look at the tape. That's the new line. I wouldn't mind it if he was hard on these guys, if he was a leader of men, but no. So if I'm Jeff Ulbrich, there's people criticizing me. I'll go out. I'll send a message. My last game as a head coach, bench Aaron Rodgers in what could be his last NFL game of his entire career, and start Tyrod Taylor because I think Tyrod earns it. And quite frankly, as crazy as it sounds, I'm happy to hear I have a lot of Tyrod fans in my chat because I've been in other Jets chats, and a lot of people hate my Tyrod take, which is okay. Everyone's entitled to their own opinion, but I'm happy that we're all on the same page here in terms of Billy, Sebastian, Spencer, BC, everyone in the chat. I'm happy that we all agree on Tyrod here. I want to beat the Miami Dolphins on Sunday. I want to knock them out of playoff contention. And as crazy as it sounds, I think Tyrod Taylor gives the Jets a better chance to win than Aaron Rodgers. I do. I do, for sure. Accuracy, yards per attempt, the proof is in the pudding. It is. More athletic. It's where I stand. It's where I stand. Tyrod has been a very good quarterback. The knock on him has been the injury history. He's kind of like Teddy Bridgewater, a little like Tua. He's Billy. I think Teddy Bridgewater is a great comparison. That's why I said you bring him in next year, a Justin Fields if you can get him on a 1-year deal, and Andy Dalton, the Jacoby Brissett, have those two guys there. So boom, Tyrod goes down. Okay, Andy Dalton, proven veteran, step up. Jameis Winston, proven veteran, step up. Jacoby Brissett, proven veteran, step up. Or if you draft a guy, Dylan Gabriel, Will Howard, Shadur Sanders, Cam Ward, Jalen Milroe, have them be the next man in line. I think Tyrod deserves to, at least earn a, battle, at least be able to battle it out for the starting job in training camp next year with the new regime. I want the new regime to make the decision ultimately, but if I was the new regime, I'd start Tyrod next season. That's what I would do. Sebastian, what do you think about signing Kirk Cousins and having him and Tyrod battle it out for the starting job and then draft a project QB late in the draft? Sebastian, quite honestly, at this point in their careers, I think Aaron Rodgers is better than Kirk Cousins, and Kirk Cousins is going to, I don't know how much, my question is, what does a Kirk Cousins contract look like? I'd rather take a shot on a Jacoby Brissett and Andy Dalton to Jameis Winston over Kirk Cousins. That's just my opinion. For drafting a project QB late in the draft, I like it. Not a Shadur, excuse me. He's going to go in the top 2, top 3 potentially. A Will Howard, a Dylan Gabriel, those two names could be potential 4th round guys. I like Jalen Milroe. I think if Milroe falls to you in the 2nd round, you trade back into the late 1st round, I think, and Milroe's there, I think you have to take him. That's where I think we stand. Oh, Spencer saw the answer. Thanks for answering. Great viewpoint. Loving the show. Spencer, appreciate you tuning in and all your support here on the program. BC, good to see you in the chat. Appreciate you tuning in. Dano, love Tyrod. Just know he's fragile. Dano, that's why I've been saying, I don't feel, let me just get this clear. I don't feel comfortable with Tyrod starting and, Jordan Travis is the backup quarterback next season. I don't feel comfortable with that. That is why my whole plan entails Tyrod starting and a veteran like Andy Dalton, Jacoby Brissett, Jameis Winston sitting behind him. So you have some sort of backup plan with veteran experience if Taylor has to miss a game or two for a concussion, has to miss a game or two for a sprained ankle. It's the Jets' best option next season. I'm telling you right now. Come to me when there's a better option for the Jets from a statistical standpoint overall, because Tyrod Taylor has shown he's better than Aaron Rodgers in his last majority of the season starting. He has shown that. He has. He's earned it. I think he earns the right to that. So tell me what's a better option, both financially and statistically. There is none. There is none. What are you going to trade up and draft Cam Ward and have him start? Cam Ward hasn't proven he's anything in the NFL. Tyrod Taylor has proven he's a capable, stopgap bridge quarterback. That's what he's been proving. Billy, you could definitely go to the playoffs with Tyrod Taylor if he stays healthy. He's a top 10 quarterback. Otherwise, I think he's top. I think he could be a top 10, top 12 potential guy if he's able to stay healthy, especially with this team. Garrett Wilson, Brees Hall. We saw him going to Tyler Conklin a lot yesterday. Bring Tyler Conklin back. 1 year, $5 million. If with these weapons and a competent coach, if Mike Vrabel's the head coach of this team next year, Tyrod Taylor is the quarterback. You bring in some improvements from on the defensive side of the ball. You have all these weapons. You have a competent GM who's you're gonna hit on some picks in the draft. Maybe you draft an Abdul Carter or Will Johnson and Mason Graham. This team could be 10-7 next year. I would 1,000% not rule that out. This team can 1,000% be 10-7 with a healthy Tyrod Taylor, all these offensive weapons, a competent coach, and then you hit on a draft pick or two, add a piece or two on the defensive side of the ball, re-sign a guy here or there. This team can 1,000% be 10-7. You look at. I'm gonna pull up a game by game thing here. Let's see. Game by game notes, really overall. I'm gonna pull up each game the Jets have played this season, and I'll tell you what's killed the game. Before we do that, though, another comment from Billy. Guys, keep the questions going. Appreciate all the support. Appreciate all the engagement. So let's keep that going in the chat. Appreciate your support. With Taylor, you have a stable, solid QB. Just draft a kicker, fix the defense this offseason. Jets have basically what I just said. Yep. Glad we're on the same page there. Kicker, if you're going to draft a guy, Ryan Fitzgerald in the 7th round from FSU is a really interesting name. Really, really interesting name. I don't think he missed a field goal. I think he either didn't miss one or he missed a field goal or two this college season. So he's a really fun name to watch. You take a flyer on him in the 7th round. You want to draft a guy. Let's see. Okay, here's the game-by-game schedule. And, there's so many different things that have killed the Jets season, so I'll break down what each game really entailed. San Francisco, chalk that up for a loss. You're 0-1, 2-1. This game, a game-winning missed field goal. So that what could have been a game-winning field goal was missed. So we'll count that for kicking. So there, let's see. You have the loss. You're 3-1 right there. Vikings loss. What killed them there? That was just a bad overall game. We'll chalk that up as a loss. I was at that game. I remember. Obviously, Rodgers didn't have his best game. He was playing injured. I mean, that's a different story potentially if you start Tyrod, but we can't really say. We're not going to interchange quarterback play there. We don't know what Tyrod would have done. So we'll say, okay, so you have the Patriots. So you're 3-2 there. 2 missed kicks from Greg Zuerlein. You're 4-2. You just got blown out. No excuse there. 4-3. That was a mess of a game. Missed kicks, incompetent play. That's a win. So you got three losses, excuse me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 wins. So you're 5-3 there. Texans game, you win. Cardinals game, you're 6-4. That game, could go either way. Bottom line is I'm not going to sit here and go by every game, but this team with a competent coach is competing for a playoff spot next week. This team with a competent head coach and competent kicking is competing for a playoff spot next week. That is what this team is doing. They've hung with elite teams, and what's killed them, quite frankly, is coaching and kicking. And they haven't been able to play complementary football. They have not been able to play complementary football. That's the bottom line. The defense and special teams carried the year last year while the offense was nowhere. Now you're seeing games the offense is flashing, defense, special teams won't give you anything, and then it's the other way around. Denver game's a good example. I understand Zuerlein missed that what would have been the game-winning field goal, but the defense held Denver to 10 points. The offense scored 9. That's what happened. Let's see. Yep, that's Ryan Fitzgerald, 7th round out of FSU. Our guy Jersey Jet tuning in. Appreciate the support. Connor, have you checked out Riley Leonard from Notre Dame by way of Duke? Yeah, he transferred from Duke. I'm a 7th round guy, 6th, 7th round guy. I've watched a few clips of him. I'm not fully educated to say like his exact draft position. I don't have a list of his strengths, his weaknesses, which I will be doing. I will be doing that. I have a draft show that I'm doing weekly with another Jets content creator. We'll announce that at the end of the season, starting from Black Monday, so next Monday, actually starting it all the way until the draft every week. So that's going to be super fun, but we'll do film breakdowns and stuff. But bottom line of this question here is, I've heard of him. I've watched a few plays. I haven't watched a full game. I'm not educated enough to say, where he's going to be drafted, but my guess is a day 3 guy. Dano, Fields is going to lobby for a 3 or 4 year deal in a weak QB class, I'd imagine. With that said, would you pay him extra for a 1 to 2 year deal? Would you give him 2 for 30? What's your AAV cutoff before looking elsewhere? First, my thing with Fields, Dano, is what team would be willing to give him a multi-year deal? What team would be willing to give him a multi-year deal? What team? He's not the starter right now in Pittsburgh. He started 6 weeks. He went 4-2. Mike Tomlin's his head coach. Like, I'm a huge fan of Fields, but he starts asking for a 3 or 4 year deal. I'm saying no. Would I pay him? Would I give him 2 for 30? I'd do 1 for 12. I go to Fields, I'd say I do 1 for 12. I do 1 for 12. If you want to go 2 years, 2 for 23, 2 for 24. I'm not giving him 2 for 30. He hasn't proven enough. He started 6 games this season. If he's still Pittsburgh starter and they're planning on moving on from him, that's a whole different story. But he started 6 games at the start of the season for the Steelers. I'd go 2 for 23. I'd go 1 for 12. That's where I am. Sebastian, have you heard of the Midnight Mike Show? Of course, Mike's a great guy. I've been on there a few times to watch him. I have him on in the background, of course, he's on tomorrow. Yeah, every Tuesday night and Saturday night, for sure. Of course. I think we found Mike's burner. LOL. Billy, we lost about 3 games due to kicker and about 4 games due to the defense. The Jets should be about 10-6 right now. That doesn't sound crazy. It doesn't, and you can even, squeeze some more games out of there potentially from a penalty standpoint. Like, the Jets had over, I don't know if you guys noticed, but the Jets had over 100 penalty yards yesterday. I know they were blown out, but over 100 penalty yards allowed. I think that's the most in any game they've had this season, which is fascinating because the Jets have a second most penalized team in this league. Surprisingly, somehow behind the Ravens that are strong Super Bowl contenders right now, the way it stands. But yeah, Jets are the second most penalized team right now. Take away the penalties, competent kicking, defense able to not, throw games away. We're talking about a playoff team. We are. And that the game they win that game in London. Robert Saleh, the coach of this team, what happens there? So much that we wish we could just go back and change, but unfortunately you can't. Now only 1 more week left at home against the Dolphins. Appreciate you all tuning in. Smash the like button. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We're going to wrap up here shortly. Get your final questions, comments, thoughts in the chat. Last chance to call into the show. Pinned comment in the chat. We're going to wrap up here shortly. What do you guys want to do next week? I'll throw a poll in here. Let's see. Throw a poll. Do you let me see. We'll throw a different one in. We'll do Tyrod or Rodgers. Let's see. Stand by. All right, I just threw it in the chat. We'll wrap up here with that. Who should start? Oh, sorry, yes and no's in there. Just avoid that. Just click Tyrod or Rodgers. I want to see where you guys are. But smash that like button. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. Appreciate all the support. Get your final questions, comments, thoughts, super chats in the chat. Call into the show. Keep looking at the poll. That's my guy, Billy. There we go. My fellow Tyrod truther. Start Tyrod against Miami. Let's see him play a whole game. There it is. Morning, Woody. Appreciate you tuning in. We're on the same page here. I like that Tyrod used Conklin. Conklin gets more catches from him. Probably his last 6 games with Rodgers. Yeah, I mean, Conklin, I think he was utilized a lot in the Zach Wilson offense the past 2 years, and Aaron Rodgers has a history of utilizing tight ends from his time in Green Bay. So I'm surprised he hasn't gotten involved more recently. But hey, I want Conklin back 1 year, $5 million, something like that, and have Tyrod be the starting quarterback with an Andy Dalton, Jacoby Brissett. Who's another? Jameis Winston. Let's pull up. I'll pull it up before we hop off here. The quarterback free agent class. We'll see who's there. Stand by. All right, here it is. Sam Darnold, he's going back. Zach Wilson, Trey Lance, Brissett, Heineke's potentially an interesting one. Mariota could be fun if he shakes free. Locke, no thank you. Stidham, no thank you. Dalton, I mentioned him. Fields, of course. Flacco, no. Winston, potentially. Mac Jones, definitely not. No Wentz. Garoppolo's an interesting name. I'll look more into him. I wouldn't completely rule him out. Cooper Rush could be an interesting bridge option. Josh Johnson, former Jet. So I think we pretty much nailed the top names there in Fields, Winston, Dalton, Brissett, etc. I think those are pretty much the top options for next year. Obviously, Tyrod included. Billy, as far as I've heard, Woody wants Rodgers gone, so let's see what we have in Tyrod against Miami. It can't hurt, and I don't care about Rodgers getting 500 touchdowns or, let him play his last NFL game. I don't care. He's done enough damage to this team. I don't care. Throw Tyrod in there, who is going to be on the roster no matter what next year. You might as well, people say that's what training camp's for, but why not, see a full game? Like you said, give him an audition against a team like Miami that is fighting for their playoff lives. And I seriously do think Tyrod Taylor gives the Jets a better chance to win on Sunday than Aaron Rodgers does. That's my opinion. Everyone's entitled to their own, but that is my opinion. He's more elusive. He's able to escape pressure. His accuracy is better, as crazy as that sounds. He basically meets him in every single method statistically. I mean, he's a better quarterback than Aaron Rodgers right now. He is. He is. Amen, Jay. Tyrod has played 3 drives, all resulted in touchdowns. It goes beyond that, though. Like, look at his stats from last season. Just look at them overall. They're better than Rodgers' numbers this season. Rodgers has played 16 games. Tyrod played 11 last year. He beats Rodgers in every single major statistical category. Doesn't turn the ball over as much. Does not make stupid mistakes. Is more mobile, more elusive, more athletic, more poised as a passer. You could say Rodgers has a better deep ball, but Tyrod has more yards per attempt. For those who are just tuning in, that's what I've been hearing from Tyrod now. The name was Check Down Merchant, I think. He averaged, let me pull it up. Last year, Tyrod ranked 9th in yards per attempt. This year, Rodgers ranks 31st in yards per attempt. Proof is in the pudding. There we go. All I do is win. There we go. I want to win. I want to end Miami's season. I don't care about draft position. This team has showed us so many years in a row now that it doesn't matter where you're picking. And also, you bring in a solid general manager. Real general managers are able to find talent, whether you're picking first overall or you're picking in the 4th round. That's where real general managers, talented, stout general managers are supposed to do. So I'm going to go out, get a win, officially eliminate Miami's playoff hopes because all those Dolphin fans are on a high after they beat Dorian Thompson-Robinson and the 3-win Cleveland Browns. Last game of the season to what has already been such a disappointing year. Why not go out with a bang? Eliminate your division rivals. Why not? And Tyrod gives the Jets a better chance to do so. JT will take this one last question before we wrap up. Tyrod will get the ball. The playmakers, Aaron is going to hunt for records with Devontae. Keep throwing double coverage when Wilson's wide open. Yeah. I mean, did you see Aaron's offense? We've seen Wilson get phased out in previous weeks with Adams. Adams has really taken all of his targets. I know Garrett ranks 4th in targets, and I don't think he should be complaining. But Adams has really taken a lot of the target share. Rodgers looked at Lazard a few times. He uses Brees a lot. Tyrod's offense consisted of the weapons we haven't seen that are actually, putting up numbers who deserve to be looked at more. And Tyler Conklin and Garrett Wilson, gave Garrett Wilson a touchdown yesterday. I just think he's a better option overall. I've said it. I don't want to repeat myself too many times, but he gives us a better option to win. I'm with you, JT. I know, Jay, but just wouldn't it feel nice to put the cherry on top? Well, wouldn't it feel nice to just go out and beat Miami? That would be fun. Sebastian, I know you're talking to JD here, but yes, I believe Chiefs are benching starters. I think the Broncos are like an 8 or 9 point favorites Sunday. Something like that. Appreciate you all tuning in. Smash the like button. Make sure you are subscribed to the channel. We're going to wrap up now. Before we do so, we're going to look at the poll. And look at this. If you haven't voted in the chat pinned at the top of the poll, be sure to do that. 70% of you say Tyrod deserves to start next week, and 30% of you say Rodgers. Get your final votes in, and I'm happy to hear we're on the Tyrod train. Us, you listeners over here at NY Flight Jets Talk. Appreciate all of your support. That'll do it for me. I am your host, Connor Long, signing off. JTS Jets, Jets, Jets.